इस कार्यक्रम के प्रायोजक हैं MS सेल कॉर्पोरेशन। सभी तरह की गारमेंट, मास्क एवं PPE किट एसेसरीज जैसे इलास्टिक, बटन, लेस, गोटा, बेंच कॉर्ड आदि एक्सपोर्ट क्वालिटी के लिए संपर्क करें। MS सेल कॉर्पोरेशन, गोविंदपुरी, नई दिल्ली। फोन नंबर है 9013666652।
नमस्कार, इंटीग्रेटेड चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स इंडस्ट्री के इस खास वेबिनार में आप सभी का स्वागत है। दोस्तों, आज हम फिर से आए हैं आपके साथ, हालांकि इस कठिन दौर में बहुत मुश्किल समय है सभी के लिए, लेकिन सब लोग घर में रहकर निश्चित तौर पर सुरक्षित हैं। ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन वर्सेस ऑफलाइन एजुकेशन, ये हमारा आज का विषय है। और चलिए, हमारे साथ गेस्ट जुड़ चुके हैं, गेस्टों का स्वागत करते हैं और कार्यक्रम को आगे बढ़ाते हैं। जी, हमारा इस खास कार्यक्रम में सुनील मोदगल साहब जुड़े हुए हैं। ब्रिगेडियर सुनील कुमार मोदगल साहब, आप फाउंडर CEO हैं मॉडगल लर्निंग एंड डेवलपमेंट सॉल्यूशन का। सर, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है।
थैंक यू।
हमारे इस खास कार्यक्रम में राकेश रंजन साहब जुड़े हुए हैं। आप VC हैं हिमगिरी यूनिवर्सिटी के। आपका लगातार हमें सेवा मिलता रहा है। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर जुड़ने के लिए।
थैंक यू साहब, थैंक यू एवरीवन।
जी हाँ, बिल्कुल। हमारे इस खास कार्यक्रम में डॉक्टर सपना राकेश मैम जुड़े हुए हैं। आप डायरेक्टर हैं INS गाजियाबाद की।
नमस्कार, थैंक यू।
नमस्कार। डॉक्टर संदीप पचपांडे, आप निश्चित तौर पर आप लगातार हमसे कार्यक्रम में जुड़े रहते हैं। ये आप चेयरमैन हैं ASM ग्रुप ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूशन के। सर, आपका भी बहुत बहुत स्वागत है।
Thank you so much, Manvendra ji, and always pleasure to be at ICCI events.
जी हाँ, और प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर ER चंद्रन रेखा जेटी मैम जुड़ी हुई हैं। डायरेक्टर फाउंडर हैं, प्रिंसिपल नीति स्कूल ऑफ आर्किटेक्ट प्लानिंग एंड डिजाइन बंगलुरु से। मैम, आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है।
थैंक यू एवरीबॉडी।
जी हाँ, हमारे इस खास कार्यक्रम में प्रो चांसलर LN यूनिवर्सिटी अनुपम चौकसे सर जुड़े हुए हैं। सर, आपका भी बहुत बहुत स्वागत है।
थैंक यू मानवेंद्र जी, आप सबका थैंक यू।
इंटीग्रेटेड चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स इंडस्ट्री के डायरेक्टर जनरल और सीनियर डायरेक्टर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट के कमलेंदु वाली सर जुड़े हुए हैं। सर, आपका भी बहुत बहुत स्वागत है।
थैंक यू जी, थैंक यू फॉर इनवाइटिंग मी।
जी दोस्तों, हम आपको बता दें कि हमने कई वेबिनार किए हैं, उसमें कई विषय पर हमने वेबिनार किया। आत्मनिर्भर भारत और युवा, आत्मनिर्भर भारत, इंडस्ट्री एकेडमी, इंटरफेस, लीडरशिप एंड इनोवेशन समिट, स्किल एंड एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप समिट, न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, प्रमोटिंग MSME थ्रू एजुकेशन। और अभी हम जो जा रहे हैं, जिसको करने के लिए वेबिनार है ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन वर्सेस ऑफलाइन एजुकेशन। जहाँ इस पूरे कार्यक्रम का वो आगे बढ़ाने के लिए हम सीधे चलते हैं इंटीग्रेटेड चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स इंडस्ट्री के DG कमलेंदु बाली सर के पास, और वो कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत करेंगे और स्वागत भाषण करेंगे। जी, कमलेंदु बालू सर।
Thank you so much, Manvendra ji. I just want to check, is there an echo or everybody can hear me?
There is an echo.
The echo coming up, little disturbing.
Okay. Could everybody go on mute and let's see if the echo goes away?
Yeah, now it is not there.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. So, this is the foundation of now online and offline, that the first thing that one checks is whether there is an echo or not. So that's the one of the biggest challenges of online versus, I wouldn't say offline, I would say online versus a classroom in a sense. And first of all, thank you so much for the chamber for having this program, a very, very important aspect that is currently shaping us and also the future of education, because this is something that is not going away. So a very timely aspect to be covered. So thank you for that. A very warm welcome to all the speakers, all the esteemed people, who are joining us and sharing your thoughts and ideas on this important and critical aspect of learning and education, online versus offline stroke classroom. I'll put forth my thoughts. The structure is I'll put forth maybe 5-7 minutes of my thought and then hand it over to the next speaker to share ideas, thoughts, experiences that have happened. Personally, for me, online and offline, at least I grew up completely in a classroom setting right till my college. But the executive learning, etc., was something where I came face to face with what online is. And in the mid 2000 is when the assisted learning came into place. The smart classroom, etc., that came into being in 2005, 2007. However, it was still offline or classroom where the teacher, the educators used a smart board, computer-aided learning, but it was still within the physical confines of the classroom. And this is, I'm talking about a K-12 system. Higher education behaved a little different way. Now, in the current construct, what comes to my mind is both the pros and cons. And these pros and cons vary with the segment of students. And on one side, educators, and one side, students, if I were to say. On the student side of it, if we look at the, I would say, K-12, I would rather say K-8 up to 8th standard. It's a very difficult challenge both for teachers and for students because a kid can't sit in one place in front of a machine. By nature, children are fidgety. When I was a child, I was fidgety also. So having them in front of a screen is a very tough job when you have 25, 30 people. For parents, it is a nightmare because parents used to send children to school and now they have to continuously monitor because they're exposed to a lot of screen time now. Physically, obviously, it is challenging on their eyes. Psychologically, it is challenging on parents that the kid might not go to some alien site and browse and expose the kid themselves or the family members in terms of data privacy, etc. Teachers, it is a very difficult challenge because how to round up that class of 25 or 50 so that they pay attention to things. Asking questions, class participation, all that stuff has become very, very tough. And it also puts a challenge on teachers because teachers are used to be in a setting of a classroom. And I can give my example. I found it very difficult because when I took a training session for 3 hours for corporate executives, when the pandemic started, for 3 months, I was hesitant myself. I am still hesitant. I still get nervous when I go into online class because I cannot see the people, their reaction, their body language, and all that stuff. And it unnerves me a bit. So it is a new reality where educators have to also get in tune. And in personal experience, I have seen there were very, I would say, teachers who were like, wow, these teachers are wonderful. They are highly experienced teachers, but when it came to online, those teachers are still grappling. And now the children say, I guess that young teacher is a very smart teacher because not because of the content or the depth of content, but because the teacher can handle technology. Whereas people like me, although I'm in IT industry, I still found it difficult to handle technology. So leave alone the other side of it. And more importantly, the offline, I would say the challenge is, and when purely I look at from a corporate view, for students, when they come over for interviews, etc., 2, 3, 4 years down the line, basic higher education guys, what it is bringing in is a sense of introvertness because people are not talking to each other. There is no group discussions happening. Students are within themselves. And that is, I wouldn't say it's an Americanized culture, but there are some psychological aspects where this whole thing about teamwork gets impacted because within a class, there are people and we make friends, 4, 5, 6 friends, and we work together, etc. We share ideas. In a virtual environment, that becomes very, very tough. So those are challenges I would say we would have to grapple with. And the content delivery itself will undergo a lot of change. We've seen a lot of platforms coming up and there were platforms. We had EduRite 10 years back. We had a company called EduComp 10, 12 years back on Smart Class, and we had content from Tata's. Now we have content, etc., from Khan Academy, etc., all that stuff. But what I'm seeing in online now is a rise of freelancer teachers. And these freelancer teachers are a very new concept where the classes are happening on WhatsApp. And on a video on a WhatsApp, you have 20 people, and it is free to record. They're not using a learning management software platform, but they're using WhatsApp as a platform, recording those calls, or Zoom as a platform. The freelancer doesn't object to in sense of that this is my copyright, etc. So it is shareable. It is on YouTube. 4-5 years down the line, the person would have a huge following, etc. So the business model is a very different one. And suddenly there will be a displacement possibly of a structural change, I would say, where a specialist in maths or a specialist in science would become a freelancer and start doing education. And that online dimension will become a very different dimension. And I'm not even going as far as holographics, etc., because then the students will be projecting themselves in the class. I hope that doesn't happen and we get over with COVID. What my thought and view is that another 1 or 2 years, so the students who had to step into college are like, and I've at least spoken to a dozen of them. The whole feeling that I'm going to college, I'm going to get out of the house, I want to enjoy, I will have some late night movies, etc. All that is shattered for the higher education students. But 2-3 years down the line, when they come out of their education and degrees, we will have to deal with a very, very different set of psychometrics of these students who will graduate during this era. And my earnest hope and prayer is that possibly after this, we get into a hybrid model where it is online plus offline, because that is where I would say the maximum learning comes. Where a student, in terms of, say, online is, I'm doing an online learning. If a teacher is teaching in the class, the teacher teaches and goes. There's no recording. Online gives me control in a sense. I can rewind and play it again, and I can pace it myself, which doesn't happen in a classroom setting. So my hope is that pros and cons separate, but we get to a dimension where we have a hybrid mode of an offline and online, and I think that would be the best way forward for both educators and the students and the corporates. So those are my thoughts, initial views, really still developing and evolving. And what I'll now do is I'll request Professor Sandeep to put forth his views in terms of online and offline. Dr. Sandeep, over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for setting the tone. And a very good morning to all the panelists and everyone attending the session. This is a very lovely topic. However, when I say that we are talking about online versus offline, I think now we should not talk about one versus the other, but we'll have to see how we are going to utilize both of them together. So as Sir Bali sir has absolutely put it right, that we have to think about the blended and hybrid models coming in the future. So let's look at how the things have changed. You're right when you said that in the online world, suddenly the definition of a good teacher changes. Those teachers who were very good in the offline world are not really very effective in the online world as such. So we have to adapt to the online world, and not only in the way of teaching, but also the content. And this is something which does not happen overnight. It requires a lot of effort to create this. What is required, I think, is for us to totally reimagine the online education. in terms of my son, what he says is that what the edtech companies are doing is you're trying to get the physical classroom online with technology. But with that, what is happening is you're yet bringing the problems which existed in the physical world into the online world. However, if with the online world, you can personalize education. There are number of tools and techniques available which can make it a bit more effective. So what is required is to reimagine this education for the online world. Again, I won't say that online is the best or offline is the best. I definitely think that in the future, every institute will be forced to use both of them and will continue to use both of them. But the benefits of a physical will always remain, and it will always be the most popular. If you look at the skills, what education has to give: knowledge, skills, and aptitude. You might get knowledge through an online mode, but the aptitude and skills, I think that physical mode is very, very essential for the development of the students. The connect with the outside world, the connect with what cities are providing in terms of the entertainment, or even in terms of the industry connect. These are very, very crucial. Making friends, team building, these crucial elements cannot be really well developed in an online world. It can be very good for the executive education part, but I think as far as schooling and college education is concerned, a blended mode or a hybrid mode is what which is required. I was very lucky last week to have interaction with Professor Shrikant Datar, the new dean at Harvard Business School, and he was sharing his vision for Harvard for the future with us alumni. What they are aspirating is even Harvard is reimagining the complete education system. And while they are also reimagining the research in action. While doing this, the major drivers or levers they are using for getting to this aspiration is digital transformation, equity, and partnerships. And I think this is what is going to be applicable to every institution. Institutions will now be partnering with edtech companies. They would be, so earlier the partnerships was only with the industry or with the education institutions, but now we will see more and more partnerships coming up with edtech companies as such. Even a institution like Harvard is saying that partnerships are going to be very crucial for them, and digital transformation is the key for everything. We have been using blended learning at ASM from over 5 to 6 years now, with courses from Harvard, from IIMs. And so these are some of the blended ways where some courses were asynchronous and the live support was given physically by the student in the classroom. Or now we are doing it in the online mode, in the live mode, asynchronous mode as such. However, we have also experimented with the hybrid mode where a part of the classroom, 25% students were in the physical classroom and 75% students were attending from outside and offline modes. And we have seen a lot of benefits coming from even those kind of hybrid setups. So I think the future is going to be adopting the technology. With technology, you can give personalized education, which is absolutely going to be the key in the future. And that's what the students of the future require. Similarly, the skills that would be required to students when they get into the jobs market are going to be different than what were earlier. So we have to focus on building creativity, critical thinking, problem solving skills in them, as well as adoption of technology as such. This will happen only when we are really making them do things. Again, with AI, ML, and VR kind of technologies, we can achieve a lot of things which cannot be achieved out in a physical classroom. So what I would say is that instead of comparing the benefits of the two, what is required is to see how we can leverage both of them together and ensure that we provide a great learning experience to the students. And I believe that is what the future is going to be. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sandeep. And I think those are very, very valid points. And no, it's not a either or situation. And to my mind, also, I think at times, uh, I being 50, another 5 or 7 years of my corporate career. But for example, when I was taking a session with a batch of higher education students just about a couple of months back, this question was posed to me about this hybrid and also online. And one person actually challenged me and said, uh, online gives me the comfort and space of my room, my place, my learning, where I want to learn, etc. So that's a new kid on the block thinking like, okay, I want this and I love this. Okay, which is fair. Which obviously made me think whether I was right or wrong, because most often I go wrong. But in certain dimension, I thought that here is a 20-year-old person and would go to work, whether does a freelance, whether self-employed, whether is employed with somebody, whether starts a company, whatever the shape and form of work is. I'm here telling this person that this is what the ideal mode of hybrid is, whereas I don't even know what the world will look like in 3 years. And this person's career will span another 50 years. So this person is looking for work till 2070. Okay. And shaping the skills. So, and you brought out that point of skills part of it, the problem solving, etc. Those things. And those inherently are not mathematical models. Those are very human models. If I have a conflict, I need to talk to a person. I can't mathematically model and say the conflict will go away. Those are kind of skills would possibly become very, very crucial. And sadly, online cannot provide that. It just cannot provide that kind of stuff. So I completely agree that, yeah, hybrid is something that we will have to go with. So thank you, Dr. Sandeep. I'll now request Dr. Anupam, please, Pro-Chancellor, to share his thoughts on the topic.
Thank you, sir. This is always a relevant or a topic for an institution whenever we talk about that online mode, offline mode, or hybrid mode. But whenever we start talking about it, there are always pros and cons. जब हमने AICTE before this pandemic started, they have included 20% courses last year only. और जब हमने उसको बात कर रहे थे तो हमारी फैकल्टी के साथ we had a workshop and they started with this कि सर 20% कोर्स मतलब एक सेमेस्टर में लगभग एक ऑलमोस्ट वन पेपर एवरी सेमेस्टर विल बी ऑनलाइन मोड. हम लोगों ने उस पर डिस्कशन कर रहे थे, जो अपने अभी आप लोग बार बार कर रहे हैं कि जो ह्यूमन इंट्रैक्शन है वो नहीं रहेगा. तो उस टाइम जब ये बात आई तो हमने AICTE में भी एक बार वर्कशॉप अटेंड करने के उनको बोला कि आप वर्कशॉप अटेंड करें, उनका पीछे क्या कॉन्सेप्ट है. तो उनका ये कहना था कि यू शुड गिव द फ्रीडम टू द स्टूडेंट्स. लाइक आप स्टूडेंट को फ्रीडम दें, उसको अपना खुद का तैयारी करने का मौका दें, उसको खुद की प्रिपरेशन करने का मौका दें एंड पेस ऑफ लर्निंग उसकी रहे. और पेंडेमिक ने हमको ऐसा टाइम दिया है कि फ्रॉम लास्ट 3 सेमेस्टर्स वी आर इन दैट ऑनलाइन मोड ओनली. Our 100% papers are being in online mode, but still I feel that we are losing हम कहते हैं ना, एक पीढ़ी को हम लूज कर रहे हैं, which is losing its interaction with the other students, losing its natural skills, एक soft skills जो होती हैं, जो एक peer के साथ interaction करने पे आती हैं, वो सब lose कर रहे हैं. अब आप सोचेंगे MBA का बैच एक 2 years का कोर्स होता है and almost उसमें से 3 semesters they are sitting out in their homes and studying online. एक मैं बहुत अच्छे से इंटरेक्टिव वो बताता हूँ सर. We are very strict about attendance in our institutions, so we were getting around 75 to 80% attendance every day. When the online classes started and we started taking the feedback, the result, the attendance came up to be 100%. I was very happy. मैंने पूछा भी अपनी फैकल्टी से कि अरे बड़ा अच्छा है, मतलब आप लोग ऑनलाइन मोड में इतना अच्छा पढ़ा रहे हैं और दिस इज़ वेरी गुड कि ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स आर अटेंडिंग. But after that, कुछ दिन बाद feedback, my faculty gave me the feedback कि सर वो online mode में ये होता है कि जो student है he starts the system and then वो camera बंद करके वो अपना काम करता रहता है या online कर देता है, and that's why it's 100% classes. So then we included जो हमारा vendor है, हमने उनको बोला तो उसमें he has included that mid period questionnaires and everything ताकि वो check कर सकें. So we are also learning. अब मेरे खुद के 2 बच्चे हैं जो अभी स्कूल जा रहे हैं, and from last year I am seeing that they are totally dependent on the systems for learning, and they have started playing online games and everything. अब उनको मेरे को बाहर निकालना बड़ा मुश्किल पड़ रहा है. अब मैं जब उनको बाहर दूसरी जगह पे ले जाने की, अभी अपने सर ने कहा भी कि जब हम उन बच्चों का बाहर ले जाने की कोशिश करेंगे, साल 2 साल बाद उनको जब हम बाहर दूसरे लोगों से इंटरेक्ट करने की कोशिश करेंगे, उस टाइम हमको एक जो प्रॉब्लम आने वाली है, दैट विल ऑलवेज बी देयर. Blended learning, yes, it is always a good, and वो सब AICTE, all the governing bodies, even MCI is very strict about learning, and they were the first to start the offline classes. जब pandemic खत्म भी नहीं हुआ था तो उन्होंने अक्टूबर से ऑनलाइन ऑफलाइन क्लासेस शुरू कर दी थी, बिकॉज जो प्रैक्टिकल बेस्ड सब्जेक्ट्स हैं, जो प्रैक्टिकल बेस्ड कोर्सेज हैं, लाइक MBBS है हमारे यहाँ पे, नर्सिंग है, या इवन इंजीनियरिंग भी हम ये नहीं कह सकते कि सारे का सारा थ्योरेटिकल पार्ट है. जो प्रैक्टिकल बेस्ड है, हाउ कैन द स्टूडेंट परफॉर्म इट एट होम? ये मैं बार बार पूछ रहा हूँ, बार बार जब भी कोई फोरम होता है मैं उठाता हूँ कि हम कैसे एक्सपेक्ट करें स्टूडेंट से कि वो सब कुछ ऑनलाइन लर्न कर ले, ऑनलाइन सीख ले. यस, द ऑनलाइन टूल्स कैन बी हेल्पफुल, online tools can always be helpful, but they cannot suffice 100% of the course curriculum. So we have to think over it. Yes, the pandemic will be अब जैसा हमको सेकेंड वेव के बाद अब समझ आया है कि अभी ये ख़त्म नहीं हुआ है, and it will take much longer time to start everything. The engine will start, जो हमारा पूरा सिस्टम है, it will take time to start because the institutions are the last to be open. लास्ट टाइम भी जब हमने ख़त्म होते होते सबसे लास्ट में इंस्टीट्यूशंस चालू हुए थे, और अभी फिर से जब अगर कुछ ख़त्म भी होगा तो इंस्टीट्यूशंस विल बी द लास्ट टू ओपन. सो वी हैव to adapt to the current scenario, and we have to plan according to it. आगे भी फ्यूचर में AICTE has increased it to 40%. अदर कोर्सेज लाइक MCI NMC की बात करता हूँ, they have also included 10% 20% courses which will be online. So every regulating body is going ahead with it कि वो अपने कोर्स करिकुलम में ऑनलाइन मोड, ऑनलाइन क्लासेस, ऑनलाइन कोर्सेज ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा इंक्लूड करें. So institutions are getting prepared, but we have beautiful infrastructures. और अगर हमारे बच्चे कैंपस में नहीं आएंगे तो who will use it? And जैसे सर ने कहा, अच्छा एक और बहुत बेसिक पॉइंट होता है कि जब हम ऑनलाइन मोड की बात कर रहे होते हैं, एक टीचर जब क्लासरूम में जाता है तो ही इंटरेक्ट विद द स्टूडेंट्स, ही गिव अराउंड ऑफ 1 hour of lecture, there are 20 minutes of interaction with the students on different topics. But when we go for online mode, we don't have anything. हम we have to be very crisp. जो हमारे प्रेजेंटेशंस होते हैं वो बिल्कुल टू द पॉइंट होते हैं, और हमको जो टॉपिक है वो 30 मिनट्स में कंप्लीट करके, मतलब उसके बाद हमारे पास क्या है, हमको हाउ टू इंटरेक्ट विद द स्टूडेंट्स बिकॉज दे आर नॉट इन फ्रंट. सो ब्लेंडेड लर्निंग इज द फ्यूचर, but online mode can never be an option or replacement of offline mode. I'm always with the offline mode with some blended learning. I hope that these campuses will start soon and the students come to the campus soon, and hope for the future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Anupam sir. I think the views are echoing that it has to go on to hybrid, and that is where more ideas, etc., will be exchanged, or overall development of a person would happen. A diametric thought again. So there are certain thoughts I am echoing which came from certain students when I took some classes or some guest lectures, and one of the thoughts that came from students was that there are always a group of people in a class who are shy. There are a group of people who are extroverts. There are a group of people who have a lot of class participation, group discussion, who raise their hands that I know the answer, etc. And there is a set of people who are, and they are smart, okay? They are smart. They can be toppers. So they are smart kids, but they are a little shy and they will not really raise their hands and come up, etc. And they will be in their cocoon and learning, and they'll be learning very strong. Uh, and one of the thoughts came from a few students is that why can't we segregate a class and say in offline online mode, the people who really like to mingle, etc., let them be in the classroom. The people who are comfortable within their space, let them be onto uh, online structure. It's a debatable topic, because my thought was that there will be people within the online or introvert set of people who may move to being extroverts, because in my career of 30 years in corporate, I've seen some of the smartest people are the introvert people, and they could not rise the hierarchy of corporate because they were introverts. They were smart, they were intelligent, they really knew good work, but uh, some of them could not communicate strongly or put forth their ideas, or some had the personality that I want to be non-controversial, I'll keep quiet and quietly do the work, etc. That this whole model of learning actually is accentuating some set of that. And although the good side is that with technology and software and all that stuff opening up and the gig economy, it could provide opportunities for people working from anywhere, etc., in their own confines. Uh, but from an interaction perspective, obviously there are negative ones. So uh, thank you for your thoughts. It was wonderful to know that 100% attendance was reached. So everybody switches on and say. And by the way, in the corporate world, what we have done is we've introduced technologies. Because for us, like I come from a call center, so a back office and a voice process of it. So we will introduce softwares on the machine that if somebody comes and looks into my screen from behind my back, the computer will shut down. If my video goes off, my computer will shut down and the alert will go to the team leader that so-and-so person is missing from the screen. 3 seconds a person is missing. We are trying all that stuff. Nobody can take a picture of the screen from a camera, from a phone camera, etc. Those kind of technologies have come now. So it's not that they're coming up, they have come so that you get more control over the class. But still, the learning experience is a very different dimension. These are more control mechanism than the learning mechanisms. Thank you for your thoughts. And what I'll now request Dr. Sapna to share her thoughts on her experiences at IMS, please.
मैम
Thank
मैम
you.
एक मिनट, हाँ मैम एक मिनट। काफी दर्शक जुड़ गए हैं। आप दर्शकों से आग्रह है कि हम आपके प्रश्नों का जवाब अंत में आपको मिलेगा, तो आप बने रहिएगा हमारे साथ निश्चित तौर पर। और दर्शकों को हम नाम भी पढ़ेंगे, काफी दर्शक जुड़े हुए हैं। जी डॉक्टर राकेश, डॉक्टर सपना राकेश।
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Kamlendu sir. It is indeed a topic which needs a lot of discussion. I have, just like everybody else, being a part of the learning ecosystem, this learning ecosystem, as I look at it, it has, multiple learning opportunities for all of us. And I see these learning opportunities at 3 levels. As an administrator, when you have a set of thousands of students who are to be delivered a particular syllabus in particular number of hours, with these number of hours being distributed in a certain manner, and where faculty was used to go to the class and they had their own teaching plans. Now we as administrator, we were looking at the academic daily reports, we had our own existing system of monitoring, existing system of recording authentic attendance, existing system of examining and assessing the students, existing system of rating the faculty, existing systems of training the faculty, existing systems of reinforcing the faculty, existing system of reinforcing the students. Now, for all of us who have been up to, I believe, 90% in the traditional education system, where you are a university or you're a college and you're delivering, these courses, we all of a sudden, all movement shifting to online classes has put us in a scenario where you have to question, what should be my faculty number of hours? Can I still live with 16 hours of teaching in the online mode? And here I'm talking about the model where we are moving from traditional to online. Should you still give 16 hours, 12 hours, 8 hours to faculty? Or do I need to reduce the class time size? Do I need to reduce the batch size? Is a batch of 60 okay? Or a batch of 30 okay? Or a batch of 20 okay? What should be the lecture mix? How much consultation is required? Like in my case, I realized that in online, one thing which is completely missing is the interaction and the consultation with the students who do not understand. So we decided let 30% be consultation, wherein faculty is basically not teaching anything and they're only taking questions. And I'm sure everybody is working. But what I'm saying is that there is a new opportunity to learn and create systems for online monitoring, evaluating, and reinforcing people in the ecosystem. This is one opportunity which I see a major shift from the existing mode of offline to online. Second is the faculty and the students, and which we keep talking to the faculty that and I think faculty has realized that the power of faculty today has all of a sudden gone into the hands of the students. In the traditional class, you could put the students in a classroom, and for 40 minutes, they had a forced attention to the class. Today, we are in a scenario where when the faculty starts her class, she does not have control on what the student is doing on the other side. So we are in a new scenario. The classroom environment has completely undergone a change in the traditional education system. Now the challenge is there are new skills which have to be acquired by faculty. Mere knowledge that you had and the knowledge of the tools to use online will not be sufficient. And I'm sure many people have learned this in past 1 year in the traditional education system, that see, the beauty is not about using the tool, but the beauty is about understanding the objectives of the class and fulfilling the objectives of the class, for which one of the greatest challenge that previous classroom faces when replicated on the online mode is that the diversity of students' learning styles is very difficult to map. When you're in a classroom, you have a lot of cues in the class. So if the class is going boring, you see students moving their heads, and all of a sudden you know that you have done too much of theory and you shift your style. You come to an example, you come to participation, and then you go back. But in the online mode, that opportunity all of a sudden is not there in the faculty's hand, because you really do not know. The student logs off, switches off his camera, moves away. You really do not know. One, two. Another challenge with faculty, and I think with everyone, is the type of telecommunication infrastructure we have. Where are the bandwidths? Number one. Number two, in one house, when both the parents are working online, I mean, traditionally we've had at the most 2 screens in the family. Today, you need 4 to 6 screens in the family, and everyone at the same time needs a bandwidth, and how it would be now, this bandwidth would be distributed. So therefore, it comes on the faculty to understand and empathize with the students, that if they're not able to start the camera, and unlike, so physically you just fall ill, that's it. But in the online class, the student does not only fall ill. Apart from that, his audio might not work, his network might not work, there could be guests at home, there could be something. So I think a different set of skills are needed at the faculty end, and which I consider a great learning opportunity. The second challenge which I see for the faculty is the type of diversity of content. When you're in a physical class, and I think that's for all the universities and all the academic institutions, when you are in the physical mode, the books are the best friends and the notes are the best friends. But more than that, a student learns from the peer group. Students sit together, they get to know from each other, are they learning correct? So validation of what one is learning. In the online mode, validation happens only when you take an examination. So, when I write an examination, and if you are in the semester system, you give 3 examinations and that too online, and there are a lot of opportunities to actually fake the examination also. So that's validation of do I know, and which, I come back to Kamlenduji, when you say that when students come, you're seeing a lack of confidence. That lack of confidence could be the cascading impact of isolated learning in the family setup where hardly any validation has happened. Otherwise, in a physical class, a lot of validation happens on every day. The teacher asks a question, you give the answer, right? Those type of opportunities do not come handy in the online mode. So I think that is second thing, and therefore I think the faculty has to develop a new skill of having a lot of empathy. Number one. Number two, and which I think goes a long, long way, is connecting with the students beyond the class, which in the physical world happened very naturally, but in the online world, faculty and the institutions have a burden to create these social connect opportunities for trust to build, for respect to build, for relationships to build, for friendships to build, right? Like, what we did as just a small example, the students are dispersed all over India. So we made city chapters, and in city chapters, we had a specific faculty, dealing with the students, connecting the students, organizing activities locally at the local level, which were not physical. They were all online. So that helped develop, social connect. These things, at times, we'll realize they are prerequisites to learning, because it's easy. See, a student can learn from the recorded lectures online, which is the other mode of online, wherein you have recorded lectures, and there are several very, very successful MOOCs, very good programs in Coursera, EdTech. But those are small pieces of learning. So another thought that I have is that we also have to look at learning instead of one shot goal semester examination kind of a thing, in a scattered manner. Can, as faculty, as institutions, we replicate the effective online learning models, wherein it is very difficult to give a complete course in one go, and create methods so that you are able to give small pieces of learning, and then piled up learning scenario. uh, Another thing I think, which at the students end, and I've been always saying that we have to understand that fortunately, unfortunately, the student has lost the learning environment. When you come to a college, when you go to a school, you get ready, you go to the school, you are in the learning mode already. Now, how do you put the learner in the learning mode when he's at home? And most of the times we know that students get out of the bed and they log into the class, and by the time they're actually into the learning mode, 10 minutes of the class are already gone. So how, at the student end, how do they handle this challenge? Second is, how do you handle the digital fatigue? So one is, if you have 4 hours class, you are isolated in one room. You've lost all the good things of the class. You have only the learning left, for you. So and then the screen time, the eye fatigue that the students get. So how do faculty and student together, handle this as a challenge? I think there is, but there is a lot of opportunity in learning all this. Second is, as everybody has been saying, that the future, especially in higher education, would be of hybrid learning. I think now is the time to smoothen and learn and reimagine and recreate, as everybody has been saying, the existing platforms, technology, tool, pedagogy, results, examination, attendance, and we can definitely be better prepared to handle the future of education in the country. I think MOOCs and the small online courses and the creation of intended learning and small size courses piled up in the long size courses and the new skills for faculty would play a very, very significant role in making online learning effective. So these were a couple of thoughts that I had, and I'm sure my time is limited, so I must stop here. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to express my thoughts on online versus offline education in the country.
Thank you so much, Dr. Swapna. You bring a very interesting point on the screen time fatigue, and also commensurate that with the bite-sized learning, because much as it would be tough, but that bite-sized learning, I think, would be pretty helpful, because 4 hours or 5 hours of screen time with multiple distractions at home, it's a bit crazy. And I can relate to it more from a work perspective, because when we moved, or as an industry, if I were to say, in India, as a call center industry, when 1 million jobs moved home, the first challenge was diversion, because we have small houses. There are a lot of people who move around. The person cannot focus, and then obviously you're looking at a screen for 8-9 hours in a work environment with the tech fluctuating. So the connections will go off. High-speed connections are not there in a lot of locations, and all that stuff. So yeah, bite-sized learning, I think that could be a good way. The teacher collaboration piece, in terms of the teacher administering versus collaborating, that's a tough one to solve. But I guess we'll have to solve it, because otherwise this model will not become successful, where the control now is equitable between the learner and the teacher, and that needs to be bridged somehow on the skill level. And one of the other things I realized on the class learning also, when I took certain sessions, a lot of people promptly went off the camera. And when I took a poll, like 60% of the students, they said that, one, they were camera shy. Another set of students said, I feel a little embarrassed because somebody from my household will come for, give me tea or something, or somebody will, my mom will suddenly come behind me. So I feel a little embarrassed to switch on my camera. Very strange things. We've all experienced them, but the numbers were quite staggering. 60%, 55, 60% had this, either the embarrassment part of it, or they were camera shy. For whatever reasons, they might be, it could be a good area of research also, that why are people being the way they are. And the other aspect of beyond class connections, I think that's a very important one, and puts a lot of, I would say, additional work on the teachers, because WhatsApp groups, etc., for cities, all that stuff have popped up. But for a teacher to connect with 30, 40, 50 students offline mode, when they call up or do a WhatsApp video chat, etc., just to have that connect, that puts a lot of strain on the resources and the time for the teacher also. And teacher is one pivot. And then there is, where does it end? Because if there are 7 teachers, then for me as a student, 7 teachers are reaching out to me, and I'll say, after 1 week, enough, okay, enough. I don't want to, every teacher coming to me and talking to me. But on the other side of it, and before I hand it over to Dr. Chandran Rekha, I'll just cite an example which happened day before yesterday, in terms of the online piece of it. So I want to redo my living room, and I just put it on the WhatsApp group, and one of my college mates said that his daughter is studying in Manipal doing architecture. Why don't you send it to her, and she'll do the zoning and all that stuff and send it back to you. I sent it to her, and 2 days later she sends it across to me and says, these are my thoughts, uncle, because I could not collaborate with the students. if I were in the physical class, I could have come out with multiple options. So that disconnect still remains in the mind of a student also, and these are creative guys. When it comes to zoning, architecture, piece of it, and interior designs, the students also are feeling a little handicapped because they can't collaborate amongst themselves. Maybe the students will also push forward and say that we need a hybrid one because we can't do a project based on a screen. Fine, you give us softwares, platforms, and all that stuff. So let's see how that progresses. But 5 or 6 thoughts of yours, which I have listed down, I've just typed them across. They're wonderful ideas, and I think maybe with your permission, I'll write a LinkedIn post around this with due credit to you and the other speakers also. With that, I'll hand it over to Dr. Chandran Rekha, please, for your thoughts. We can't hear you, Dr. Chandran. Could you go unmute, please?
Hello, good morning to one and all on this forum and diaspora. Thank you, Mr. Manvinder Kumar and Mr. Bali, for inviting me to this program of ICCI to give my views on online and offline education and learning. Today, we are talking about online and offline learning and education process in great depth. But why? Is it that we never had this model before? It was always there. Only thing, like, we hadn't actually recognized that until these pandemics came in. When we talked of distance education and weekend learning, this process was already on. We must not forget that many organizations were providing online learning model with some differential costs. Then it was perhaps due to the lack of time for both tutor and the student, traveling difficulties to the places of learning, and perhaps many of the programs were not available for learning in the vicinity, or students shouldered family responsibilities, hence took up job in the morning and used their night time to learn online. And that was so even in architecture and planning programs. Through online recorded mode, including competitive exams, training were through online modes. The first online education in India began in 1985, started by Indira Gandhi Open University in the area of library and information science. Certainly, that was one of the toughest. Thereon, many private and government organizations and education institutes started providing online education. Students taking these programs were generally undergrads and above. Now, let's look at the pandemic. Even that is not new. The pandemic was first detected in 1200 BC with Babylon influenza epidemic. In 1510 AD, the first pathological detected influenza occurred and repeated itself in every 10 years till 1890 AD and was termed as flu pandemic and was named as Russian flu and Asiatic flu, and was the first detected in 1889 AD in Bukhara, Uzbekistan. Though the flu was known to occur since 1510 AD, it was termed pandemic only by 1889 AD. Why was this such a delay? The reason was the information and the communication technology emerged with telegraph only by 1100 AD. In the absence of technology and communication, the information across the globe results in terming all the pandemics since 1200 BC to 1889 AD as epidemic. And the clarity with differentiation between a pandemic and epidemic was not that easily known. People would know most of the things only relating to the neighboring regions. Besides, such things were always hidden from the rest of the surrounding regions too, due to regional conflicts, as we already know from history. Now, COVID-19 pandemic has occurred in an era of geo-information and communication, computer, digital, and new age media. In an era when we talk of data mining, big data, blockchain, cryptology, nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, etc., the transfer of information to the farthest location is possible at the shortest time. Therefore, we are able to make control of the pandemic situation in shortest time and provide online education with less problems in information communication and seek world support in assessing the impact, mitigating and managing it. In the intercontinental collaborations enable our pharma industries to manufacture vaccines in shortest time with mask and physical distancing in some ways without much hitting on the economy of the organization's 100%. We are working from home, and those who have difficulty working from home due to limited available network bandwidth or due to nature of the jobs such as production or intricate sectors such as banking and professional services are working at 50% capacity. But the situation of the education institutions are different. During pandemic and complete lockdown, education sector is forced to provide total online education to everybody. That includes technical and non-technical programs. Also, work from home, even during internships and as such. This change adopted in the education sector is due to the very nature of the sector. The students have temptations and forego any precautionary measures imposed by the government and medical councils that enforce to avoid frequent social and physical interactions with each other and to maintain maximum precautions. Students get away and get carried away, leading to spikes in the pandemic situation. Thus, students become carrier of pandemic. This results in the government imposing online learning and education for students at all levels. That includes architecture, planning, and design education as well. The gravity and the intensity of the communicable nature of the pandemic virus is also one of the fundamental reasons for switching over to the online education. The sector encompasses from tiny tots in the play schools to the students in undergraduation, post-graduation, vocational training, research institutes, both for technical and non-technical programs, even internships through online mode requiring work from home. But however, due to the increasing population, the available resources are limited, both in the physical, material, and human, financial, in the country as well as in the most of the institution. Even with the progressive researchers in geo-information communication technology, the geography of our country makes it, one, difficulty for the students in the remote locations to attend the online classes due to the interrupted and shortcomings in the available platform that connects all the students, even with fluctuating bandwidths and with network connectivities that has delayed relay and transmissions of the lectures with frequent disconnections besides colored code variations. And in architecture and planning and design, everything goes with lot of color codes and all gets distorted. Large number of students learns through mobile. Since many do not have computers or laptops with internet bandwidth connections, in addition to the requirements of continuous power backup even during power failures. The lack of eye-to-eye contact between the student and the teacher, since both see the screen but not the camera, disconnects them from connecting with each other. Shorter attention span, not more than 10 to 12 minutes. Not able to actually see vividly the expressions of each other also causes confusions in terms of whether the student has understood or not. Team involvement is reduced. Identification of problems faced by the students and their understanding ability is pretty very hard for the teachers to decipher. When the students switch off the camera, and then it is even more harder to identify if the student is really present in the virtual mode or not. Though teachers devise many methods such as posing questions in between the lecture classes, and as such, yet it is hard to identify. The gap to understand each other widens due to lack of visibility of expressions and in providing samples of examples, especially in all the creative fields of studies. To set and reset their threshold capabilities and conduct remedial classes and see completed assignments are pretty very hard, especially in the creative and design studios. Many students, not from well-to-do families, have very small space at their home where there are multiple activities happening. This disturbs the students from learning due to periodical high decibel levels of sounds at the background. Some parents, during the lecture classes, tell their children to carry out household chores, which they considered and treat that child is at home, hence on holiday. And this is so even with the architectural students. In this era of global competition, the competitive, objective, and outcome-based education to periodically rise their threshold capability is affected, causing a serious damage to their physical and mental health of the students, especially in the younger age brackets. Addiction to the mobile and computer-based apps and learning methods will be the future societal issues and concerns, which shall be bigger pandemic than COVID-19. Students have already begun to socialize with mobiles and computers, causing to themselves the depression, brain fog, thinking that hampers lateral out-of-box thinking and expression-oriented life. Instead, develops only virtual friends. The offline mode builds a relation between student and teacher. The expressions, the eye contacts, aptitude, discipline, practical experiments is more like existential lab for students and is the pivotal thread in building the students' interest in the subject and identifying their areas of strength and weakness, besides teachers helping them in doing so. In students in younger age bracket, which is the formative stage of the student, there is requirement of identification of their skills, talents, hobbies, emotional intelligence, kinesthetic skills, design and intelligence quotient, and many such. That is the main thread that defines the threshold capability and develops their personality and fixes their educational interests, likes, dislikes, goals, and as such. And that is also one of the ways of continually improving their threshold capabilities. Sports, arts, crafts, and other creative fields that require the physical movement are essential for healthy body and healthy mind. And in fact, in the architectural studio classes, in offline mode, the students really enjoyed all the kind of musics and all in the background, and their minds work so well and they come out with variety of designs. But that is really absent when we talk of in the online mode. Blended mode is required. Therefore, I am of the view that the online and the offline learning and education are variables for each stage of education. Offline mode is very essential for preschool, primary, middle school, high schools, vocational programs, and all the creative programs. While junior college and undergrads and other postgrad programs and full-time research can be on the blended mode. Blended mode is required even at the normal times for the students in collegiate education, since that enables them to learn hands-on and research simultaneously with their personal learning space for both teachers and the students. Every institute must customize based on their student typology and characteristics through feedback systems like the way Nitish School of Architecture Training and Design. We have a free class. In fact, when the pandemic came, we never had a problem in our institute because what we were following in the offline mode, we followed even in the online mode. We had a 3-tier proctoral system that monitored the students' design, all the studio subjects, and also the theory subjects. Even the marking system got routed through the proctoral process, and their remedial classes were through the proctoral system. And thereby, that helped us to improve the students' threshold capability. Every year, the benchmarking was their own capabilities. No student was compared to the other student to say that they are the best student, this student is the best student, and that the other student is not best, or ranking in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4. What we did was whatever we did in the offline mode, we went on baselining their own capabilities as their levels of threshold capabilities and went on increasing them. So I personally feel that there are large number of things that we can actually convert of what we do in the offline mode into online mode as well. But there are, of course, the customization is totally left to the institutions. With this, I would like to really thank and for giving me this opportunity to express myself.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chandran Rekha. Those had some very, I would say, enlightening moments. Yeah, my mind did not connect to the aspect of, we always had remote education. Yeah, the paradigm has changed a bit because now it's more the regular ones also went on to online, but then the concept of remote offline online mix was always there. And you bring a very relevant point that especially in the creative part of it, and again, because for me, maths and science were the subject, so I'm pretty weak on the creative side of it, and never realized that the studio thing and the colors, etc., the kind of diffusion that might happen when you are projecting it on online, and that is a very, very integral and important part of design. That whole thing could get pretty jumbled up, and then add to that, because every person's screen color image might behave very different also.
Exactly.
My screen, which is giving me a shade of red, to another screen, when I go and look at another screen or another machine, might give me a completely different shade of red. So, and the on a mobile, it would give me a very high density picture or a high pixel picture, whereas on a desktop, or depending on the graphic cards of the machine, it might diffuse some colors and make it a very, very different view altogether. So the entire imagination goes for a toss. And then the divergence, obviously, that is a big thing for us, because home divergence. You brought an interesting point that parents think that you're sitting at home, right? So you're sitting at home. You're not going to work or going to college. You're sitting at home. You are at disposal, and that creates a lot of divergence. I think as parents and students, that change will take a long time, because I can. My elderly mother thinks I'm sitting at home, and then she will completely say, "Give him so and so, give him that." No, he's working hard, and she doesn't realize she's like, "I'm on a call, mother." So she will go on. Those are things that I guess online, the softer aspects will possibly take time. That this is a personal space, if there is personal space, because homes are small. Not everybody's has a large house. Those are challenges. Thank you so much for your views, and I'll now request Brigadier Sunil Kumar Murthy, sir, to share his thoughts. Can I also request everybody to go on mute, please, because we are again getting an echo. So over to you, Brigadier sir. Your thoughts, please. You'll have to unmute yourself, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. It was lovely hearing, people in the educational institutes, the top-notch people in the educational institutes. Let me also put across, so beautiful points have been put up. There cannot be more point as far as on and offline concerned. Some advantages, some disadvantages. Let me give a small perspective of mine. Almost 3 decades back, when I visited United States, my brother left me in one of the mall and gave me a few dollars. He said, "You spend some time, I have some work in the office, I'll pick you up." And I saw a beautiful ice cream shop, so I thought, let me take the ice cream. And it costed some $1.25 and all that. I gave $2 to the girl standing there. And to return the money, that girl gone into the gadget to put $2 minus 125, 75 cents. She gave it back. I was free. I had no work to do. I was trying to spend time. I enjoy, because that is something I'm very fond of, talking to people. And so I thought, let me spend time with that girl, because she's also free. I said, $2, 125 should have gone 75 straight. She said, no, why should I do that? I said, I am from India. We do 19, up to 19 tables by heart. I don't have to go to any gadgets. You ask me anything 15 by 15, 15 to 16, anything you ask me, I will tell you straight. She said, sir, I don't need that. There's a gadget you ask, give me some money. I have given that. Maybe, even later, I'm an IIT BHU guy. I did it a long time back. Let me tell you that I passed out in 1975. And when I passed out, I remember we used to have a gadget like, it used to be called a slide rule. I don't know how many of you have used that. If not used that, how many of you have heard that? It used to, there used to be two scales moving within one, some serrations you have to connect, and that gives you additions and subtractions and some logs and stuff like that. When I was going through my engineering days and gone to Indian Army doing some technical courses, I was carrying that with me. Somehow I started using it as asking people a question. I'll give you one chocolate. Tell me the name of this particular gadget in my hand. People never used to reply. They'd never have seen that gadget. My grandson has not gone to the school so far. He's been promoted to standard 1. And he loves his classes so much. He doesn't miss whether he's visited the school or not visited the school. So beautifully engaged. And these days, some vacations are going on. He is now learning online chess, which he plays with me every day. And with another grandson, they play every day, two games, morning and evening. For him, offline has no value. He doesn't understand. He doesn't want to know that what is offline. No, my grandson's mother, my daughter, has never gone to the bank ever. She opened up account online. I always tell, let me take you, don't put money in FDs like this, you may lose that and all that. She said, Papa, how can I lose that money? There's a link, I'm going, it is so safe, I'm doing it. But I am into the hybrid. I have gone 10, 20, 30% into online. Everyone around is, young people are now 100% online. They buy everything online. If there's no problem, if the problems are there, we are stuck in the house and all, everything is coming automatically. Groceries, eatables, beautiful dishes, pizzas, everything they're enjoying. The life is going on for, usual for them. What I'm just trying to put across, my friends, the world is going to throw challenges and there's going to be new normal. If we start looking at the new normal with what we have right now, the level of technology, what we have in our hand, yes, there'll be problems. There'll be problems that how the students going to work in a small house, there'll be distraction, how we are going to engage them, stuff like that. There are ways and means doing it because I do a lot of programs. I've done programs for the corporates. I don't want to name them during these, closed down timings. I've done for one of the beautiful industry. I've done for creativity, innovation, problem solving skills, retire or refire for the high management, MDs and EDs of the organization and stuff like that. 3 hours, 4 hours, 1 day program, moved them to the 2 days program. Problem, what if we look at everything of the level and capability and the skill of our teachers and also available technology and the other side, the students, the system will devise. If we continue saying hybrid is the only answer, yes, hybrid is the answer even for the banking system. But in the banks, there are banks in America and Australia. I was reading an article. They don't have a physical space. They just only exist online. They don't have any physical space. They're ticketing, maybe not more than 5% or 3% people going and physically buying a ticket when they fly or go by train. So hybrid may be there, but that limitation of our present day technology and the kind of infrastructure, huge real estate infrastructure we have, which is a big asset, should not stop us thinking that it is going to come. What I'm just trying to make a small point, it is going to come. It will come maybe in a days, maybe months or years. It will come wholeheartedly. It will come 99% is going to be online. Now, do we really require practicals which are physically supposed to be done? Probably how the practicals will not be required also. I know that. because what I learned in thermodynamics at that point of time, it has no value. You can just go to Google and do much more stuff in 1 hour what I learned in 1 year. So it's going to come. That is one my main point. Now, second is, with the present technology, our main problem with the teaching faculty at times is they do not make people engage. My son looks for the grandson, 3 hours, nobody can call him. He's so busy enjoying. Within the 3 hours, they make this person dance, do some activity, make him do some meditation, do some noise, ha ha, hoo ha, everything they make. That small little, my grandson, he does everything. He's so fond of. Before the class starts, he comes and sits in front of the computer. Why? Because he enjoys what the person across is going to deliver. So delivery is very, very important, my friend. Let me share one small program. I have done it for one of the local there's a huge industry. I've done a program for them, creativity and innovation. When we were interacting with the HR, they said, how you're going to engage them? You will be telling few models. I said, don't leave it to me. You want a program, I'll do it. You give me a date, and whatever I do is you do it. I gave a mobile to my wife. I said, I am going to speak out 5 to 6 small videos on creativity innovation. One video is going to be, what does it mean? Second is going to be one skill, one model, second model, third model, its applicability in every model. Every 3 minutes videos, I made it 6 videos. I sent it before the program started with a small write-up of 2 pages. I said, let every participant must go through that and enjoy it and retain even 5% of it, 10% of it, but at least have a lot of questions to me when I come. So I conducted a 4 hours program for them. And during the program, somebody said, music, music, you do it as much as you want on the laptop. It's so beautiful. You can put videos, you can put music, people make dance, and you make people laugh. And every 5-10 minutes, like offline, we are the best way to connect and communicate with a student is you got to change the tone, change the way you are putting it up. Sometimes you go on the desk, on the board, and sometimes you physically connect. Sometimes you ask the question and make some people attend, and people those are a little reluctant, you nominate them to speak and stuff like that. It all goes on in the media also, my friend, in the online mode also. My small little point, what I'm trying to make it that my small little point why is coming it up is, are we looking at everything what we have right now? Because things will change. Nobody's going to stop it, and it'll change for good, and it changed for good for generations and generations and generations. Everything has changed. What my grandfather, my father, everybody has seen that it's going to change for my children without fail, and it's going to change for good. So my small little point is, limited point is that online is the one which is going to stay. New softwares are going to come, new apps are going to come. Use them as they come, make your classroom as interactive as possible, and ensure that the teachers must have the orientation for the student, how the teacher is going to conduct the classes for the particular lecture. Let the students get oriented, and let the teachers identify which are the students which are not contributing. Get them on the WhatsApp group and tell them to put up answers in the WhatsApp group. Tell them to write it on the chat and ask questions. If they're not asking you, ask them questions. So pick up people those are not interacting with you. Leave every time few questions, and next time ask them, and have a quiz on the next day, first lecture, have a quiz and ask them whether they have studied or not studied. Make them involved. How much you are going to do, maybe as a teacher, you got to work a little extra, but once you start making engagement with your students, they are ready to listen to you. People listen to someone who really makes them engaged, and communication is very important aspect of that. So I have that small little point. World is going to be hybrid. That percentage of hybrid is going to be squeezing from 40, 30, 40% to anything between 5, 7, 10%, or maybe less than that as the day is going to come. That is my small little point I have. Thank you, sir, for listening to me, and the ma'am.
Thank you so much, Brigadier sir. That was like Back to the Future movie, going time travel to forward, and look, I completely appreciate your thoughts. That the future, we don't know when it will come, but maybe a year, maybe 2, 3. But there is that possibility. When I started that, I said that we might lead into a world where a classroom or a training room or a corporate meeting is like human beings in a hologram. So, so it could be a possibility, yes. Uh, I completely agree that, yeah, the online will increase and the squeeze will be on the offline. That will happen. It's a matter of time now. Number of years nobody can predict. Well, you raise an interesting point on the project-based learning when you spoke about you sent a video and you sent a write-up of 2 pages. Two thoughts come to my mind on that. The behavioral aspects of it, because surprisingly, my experience has been that when I send out a video and a write-up, there are 30-40% people who haven't read it or who haven't viewed it. Strangely so. Now that's behavior thing. I think that behavior shift has to happen in people in both. Either my video could be bad, or they do not want to. They say, okay, we'll step into the online class, and then see what the video is about, or maybe somebody will play it again. Whatever those thoughts are. But thinking of the future and it will happen, it definitely will happen, and I think. Over a period of next few years, teachers will have to also. So let me put it this way: I engage with at least a dozen startups, and one of the startups said on the education space, they said that I'll give you a virtual reality of students learning. So they will put a VR headset. Obviously, that is only for affluent people. The lower middle class and the non-urban population will not have access to virtual reality headsets. They're expensive stuff. But the persons had a point that said that if a person is engaging with you on a virtual reality and the teacher is also on a virtual reality mode, I will, through the AI based algorithm, I will actually tell you who are the people who are not engaged also. Because the software will map your face, it will tell you you're engaged or not. Will the future lend itself to that? Possibly, yes. I would say definitely yes in the next 10 years. But with the current infrastructure that we are having and we are grappling with, to your point that we are looking from a position or a point where we're saying that we have this and what can we do the best of it. It is a journey to transplant ourselves and say, this is the aspiration and let's move there. That's a bit of a journey, I would say. But completely agree to your point that yes, the online space will increase, the offline will get squeezed as we move forward, as technology matures. And like you rightly said about your grandson, that generation is going to be completely immersed in technology. For them, so they have not experienced offline. So for them, online is the reality. They'll say that we are happy with online. Why are you forcing us to spend 1 hour in a school bus and go somewhere else? We're sitting here virtually interacting and all that stuff. There are a lot of things that need to fall in place. But yes, the future would be the way, I think, the way you are envisioning. There would be more about discussions or something that will have a group learning on offline, but a lot of stuff will get onto a project based, and the behavior shift would happen with the generation. But the current generation obviously will live between both worlds. The new generation 10 years down the line will be only in one world. So we don't know. I can't predict next year, next day. So, but yeah, that's possibly where it is going.
One small point.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one small. Thank you very much. I heard Sundar Pichai, in one of the videos mentioning the present day technology is raw. In next 10 years, the magic is going to be created. So, we can imagine, and in 10 years, where the world is going to be. So, and 10 years not too far off, because I'm now 14 years, I'm into retirement. So 10 years is a small journey. So 10 years, he says the magic is going to be created. That's what they're working on. My small limited point.
No, that is true. So it's just that the pace of change will increase and we'll have to adapt to it. as educators, students will have to adapt to it, families will have to adapt to it, infrastructure will have to adapt to it, and I will say regulations will have to adapt to it, because
Yes.
it's like your point, when you open a virtual bank, but if I have to transfer money to a virtual bank, my current banker says, if you do not have a physical headquarters, I will not transfer the money. So there are a lot of things that have to fall in place, and that will happen. Obviously, that will happen. Thank you so much for your words of wisdom, Brigadier Sir. And I'll now request Dr. Rakesh Ranjan, the VC of Himgiri Z University, to share his thoughts. Thank you so much, sir, for patiently waiting.
Thank you. Thank you, Baliji. And thank you, Manvendraji, for giving me opportunity to speak. I think when you speak at the end, most of the points have been made. And the moderator, Mr. Bali, was so good in collecting all the good points from every speaker that hardly anything is left to be spoken further. And I think my time is also limited. You are going to wind it up by 12:30. So hardly 5 to 7 minutes times you are given to me. But anyway, I would make my points very quickly. Though I am thoroughly from the academic side, right from the beginning, I will go 100% with Brigadier Sunil Kumar thoughts. And that was the thoughts I was trying to present. Whatever we have discussed here is basically out of the problem which we are facing when we have tried to convert during pandemic from offline to online. And during this transition, we had certainly faced a problem of bandwidth. We have certainly faced a problem of training our faculty to learn the new technology and then deliver to the student. Students were also not conversant, but the second wave, when it has hit, most of the university were ready, because we have practiced last year those technology, and this year we are finding it very easy to deliver our academic contents. Therefore, there are problems. I don't deny it, but those problems are, since for the first time we were trying to implement out of forced compulsion of pandemic. Secondly, the people were new to it, but we all have started enjoying this online mode. And my thought is also that sooner or later, the mode of conduct of education is going to change from offline to online. When it comes, maybe in 10 years' time or 20 years' time, it is bound to come. And as Brigadier Saab has said, the squeeze will be there on the offline mode than the online. I think certain points that were made, that attendance were 100% or attendance were less. Why we care about the attendance? I am from Bits Pilani, and during 1990, we were never taking attendance. The students, they were allowed to come and attend the parallel classes being conducted in different sections. No teacher used to take attendance. So why to what we are used to is we wanted to control, at the same time monitor. This thought process has to evolve, and we have to come out that learning is a two-way process, where teacher will try to express, and there has to be students' interest also into the class. By showing the stick and putting SHO in the class, you can't make physically and mentally all the student present. Baliji was telling that once you have shared your video to many corporate, 30% may not have seen it. Same thing happens in the physical class also. Out of 60 students, 50% of the students are distracted. They may be physically present. So let's discount that. That happens in the physical mode as well. I think there was Madam Rekha, if you remember, you have visited Himgiri Z University for inspecting architecture institutions. So I know you and recognized you. There was another point which was made by you, that the color on different monitor, that appears different. Very true. It appears different, but the things would evolve. The red color will not be known by visual, visually what you are seeing. It might be distinguished by the wavelength. So whenever we are projecting any color on online mode, it will be followed by the name, which may be the wavelength of that particular color. So things will evolve and we have to adapt. Why we are little skeptical? Because we have been engaged and we have been doing our businesses in offline mode, and we are finding it finding some problem when we have started switching on to online mode. Now, tell me one thing, few years back, even 10 years back, whenever we used to go somewhere new places with an address in our hand, in the written form, what we used to do, we used to tap somebody nearby and ask that, hey, where is the address? Or some rickshaw puller, because rickshaw puller knows those gullies and the streets in a better way. Now nobody asks anyone. You simply put your Google map and you reach over there. Initially we found it problem, even though there was a Google mapping, but people were reluctant to use it. Now everybody is using that only. So it is adapting the technology, and once you started using it, you started, accepting it and making and feeling it more comfortable to it. Withdrawing the money in the bank, as you were telling, Brigadier Saab was telling during his IIT days, that he used to have a stuff to calculate certain numericals in banking systems, way back. To withdraw your own money, you have to stand in a queue, and the bankers used to put, do entry in the ledger, and you get 1,000 rupees or 500 rupees by waiting half a day in the bank. Things have changed and we have started using it. The whole payment transactions, I can say 60% has changed, thankfully by the initiation by our honorable Prime Minister primarily. And after that, this pandemic has restricted at home and forced us to learn to do all the transaction in the digital space. So that also we have learned and we have started using it. The medical help, I think you all will agree, this pandemic, when the hospitals are full, for a small problem, when we used to visit health center or nearby hospital or the doctors, we have stopped going because there is no space and we fear the COVID. And what we have done instead, we have started Practo. I think most of us are using Practo and we are getting help online and we are finding it very comfortable. Why I'm trying to give this particular example, that new things, when it comes, it takes time. And once you started using it, you become friendly to it. So we should not be worry about the future is going to be certainly in online mode, because offline and online mode, if we do the comparison, online mode has got much better flexibility and advantages over offline. Offline is mostly acceptable because it is most trusted and we have been using it, practicing it for decades, and hence we are very much accustomed to it. And I don't deny that it gives certain, you know advantage, like the teachers can give personal attention. It is a physical viewing is always preferred, but that is also a limited access. If you are doing offline classes, after 40 and 50 minutes, whatever the lecture you have given, if any student wanted to rewind it and understand certain topic which he was not able to understand during the class time for whatsoever reason, that there is a limitation over there. The help in during class time, since there is a restricted hour, you get help by raising your hand, but those helps are also limited. But in all online mode, you can, with your leisure time, you can ask queries with the teacher, and teacher with his own sweet time can give the explanation to it. So there is absolutely no problem. There was one of the point which used to be which was coined by one of the learned speaker, that what will be the number of hours probably we can be giving to our teacher. There is nothing like number of hours. You give 5 or 6 courses or 4 courses and let him prepare the online lecture, and it is uploaded and the students can view those lectures at his own will. So he is doing the lecture for all. no need to divide even into the sections, because 30 60 classes, even though you will make it 20 20 20 in 3 classes, and if it is recorded, the same recording can be heard, can be seen by the teachers, by the students many times, at their own will, at their own space. There is another limitations which offline classes now we see is the most of the online classes, though it is a hand holding we can claim, but it is also mood dependent. If you see the same teacher delivering in the class, their delivery and efficacies are different in different classes. But if it is online, for the same course, maybe the sections might be different in physical mode, but in online mode, it is one section, it is one mode, one class, one explanations, and the same topic in the same way presented to all the students. Evaluation, if we come, evaluation in the present physical form is, at present, most of us are practicing teacher dependent, which is time consuming and traditional in a nature. But in online mode, slowly it is finding acceptability, because the student learn with its own pace, and learning happens whatever, whenever, and wherever. That is not possible in physical mode. Whatever a student want to learn can learn, whenever they want to learn they can learn, and wherever, staying at their home or during some vacation time at some other places with the access to internet, they can do it. And this learning happened 24/7, 365 days. So if we stop thinking the online mode by simply replicating the offline to online, we will find that online mode is going to be future. And I'm sure the time will come, technology will evolve, whatever the hitches we are trying to find it will be addressed by the technologist, and we'll have a better access, better presentations, and more adaptability and acceptability. The most important to it, it is eco-friendly and less cumbersome. When I say eco-friendly, I know that we have created huge infrastructure. We have invested a lot in classrooms and others. But in online mode, this infrastructure creation, those they are assets, national assets, we don't have to invest that much. Pen, paper, already you just compare. Few years back, we used to do styling for printing question paper, taking printout. If we have to do correction, use fluid, otherwise retype it. Now those things has gone. The days has come that you do it on your laptop, convert it, wanted to change it without any disturbing the ecology, without using pen and paper, saving the environment, which is of more concern to us. So I think the eco-friendly aspects of online mode has to be also seen. And we talk as an academician, what happened? We have got a lot of the practical, which students should do it hands-on. But I'm of the opinion that everything is going to be modeled now, but through algorithm, and we are going to have a better visualization of the practical, because with the help of technology, our viewing will be multidimensional. Once you have a multidimensional visualization of any of the practical, I think you understand the subject better. So my submissions is, we have a problem. We are finding it somewhere some difficulties. At the same time, if I compare from last year, this year we are going to enjoy, and in future I'm hopeful that we would be continuing in online mode, and students are also finding it much easier to adapt the subjects. I think I would request the speaker to the August speaker to just go to YouTube and find one Khan classroom. There is a Khan Academy in Patna, who has been also called by the Honorable Prime Minister for his online, the classes. He's doing classes online for 20,000, 40,000 students. He's recording his lecture in the midnight and submitting it on the YouTube. Huge follower, wonderful presentations, and there are good success story like Khan Academy in the digital space. Other than the big player like Byju's, they are working on commercial, but also freelancer. You will find many online such classes, which is happening and more acceptable. It is affordable also. Here, if you are going for online, it is going to be cheaper, and those economics is to be transferred to the students also. Therefore, the academics will be affordable. It can reach to the masses. The physical constraint will not be there. And if it comes to evaluations, still we are doing it conventional evaluation most of the time. That is, pen and paper type. But you will agree with me that most of the competitive examination, whether it is a JEE or GRE or GMAT or CAT, these all are objective based. When such good examinations are objective type, so I think we should not doubt about the credibility of the objective type. And such things can be easily done. Such evaluation can easily be done in online mode. It is fast also, objective also, discrete also, and the human interference is less. When I say fast, still in many classical universities you will find for publishing the result it takes months time. The sessions are delayed. So the future, again I reiterate that it is going to be for the online mode only. And I believe in 20 years time, we would be moving from the blended mode. I think mode will stay for some times, but from blended mode, we are going to go for the online examinations. And what I could see, my visualization about the future of education is certainly online, and how it is going to build is by creating robust internet infrastructure and communication national highways, which I have given a name CNH. Like we have got national highway, similarly we are going to go for communications national highway, state communication highway SCH, and the bandwidth will not be a problem even for the remote places. And what I feel, what Gadkari ji is doing to create a physical road infrastructure in 20 years time, when we will be shifting from offline to online in most of the businesses, not only in the education, the traffic in Gadkariji Road will be far less, and the traffic will increase on our communication national highway. So I propose, because things are going to go to move from offline to online business. When I say business, it has in already you have seen transactions, financial transactions, the food delivery, Amazon serving you all the stuff at a door at your own home. Even the voting, 10 years back, I had an opportunity to speak uh, in Delhi, and my immediately before me, Sachin Pilot was speaking on the voting pattern in India and how things are going to move. 10 years back, I have said that voting has to go towards, like people sitting at home, then they can cast the vote. I have seen few days back on the news channels that people have started talking about, and there will not be any problem. Everything is Aadhaar link, voter link. You have got your thumb impression there, and there is e-verification possible. So why to go to the voting station to cast your vote? Stay at home, do verification, cast during that particular time. And once the verification of your by face recognition or thumb recognition with your number or voter ID, it is done. It is a fair voting which is going to take place. So it is not only online education, everything is going to be online, and this is going to be the future of the world. This is what I feel. I think I have already consumed more time. Uh, Kamlendu ji, and I want to thank all of you for patient hearing. And these are the few thoughts which I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rakesh ji. Those were pretty visionary thoughts. And just FYI, Estonia as a country already has e-voting through a blockchain technology. They did it 5 years back. For us, I think, yeah, with the Aadhaar linkage and the fingerprinting of retina, but the political system allows it or not, but it is possible even tomorrow. So, if they so choose to say, uh, I completely agree that in a 10 or 20-year time frame, it will become a lot will become online because infrastructure will improve, behaviors will improve, all that stuff will happen. So yes, on a decadal mode, I think that will happen. And in fact, during one of the guest lectures I was taking at IIT, a set of students told me that in 5 years' time, by 2025 or so, we'll create a Airbnb or a Make My Trip for educators. I said, what do you mean by that? I said, colleges are creating digital assets. The lectures are there which are recorded. We'll aggregate those lectures and we'll put them onto a portal. Students will rate those, and there will be a set of teachers who will be the most loved teachers on the topic. And what we'll do is that you go and, like you say, I want to take a flight from A place to B place. You have 10 options of flights. I want to learn this subject. There will be a portal rating of the professors that you want to hear, and based on their how many likes they have got, etc., over a period of time, we'll grade the royalty basis of each of the professors, and you can remotely take those classes. So there'll be the beloved teachers, the most loved teachers. That was the terms used by the students. So then it's like I choose who is my educator, and the educator will be linked to a virtual university. So the kid generation is thinking far ahead than what we can possibly imagine. And I was like thinking, I said, you were trying to say after 10 years, you won't leave anything on teachers, right? Then teachers will not be required because everything is a digital asset. So new teachers will not come because the space is already too crowded for old teachers. But the kids think of disruption, and they actually went this path on disruption. And they said that we will harness all the assets created already. We are not going to really go into the process of creating assets. They are already there. We'll use them. Thank you so much for those thoughts. And yeah, most importantly, I would say the wave one prepared us better for wave two when it came to online delivery, and that was, pretty thankful in a sense for that. Very sad that the second wave happened, but again, it at least prepared us to leapfrog, and we don't struggle now, because the fallout would be a whole generation of students suffering, and that is a very high cost to pay. So thank you so much, everybody, and thank you to all the viewers who are listening to us. Manvinder ji, over to you for closing comments.
बिल्कुल जी हाँ, काफी दर्शक जुड़ रहे हैं, उन दर्शकों का हम नाम भी ले रहे हैं और उनके प्रश्न भी लेंगे। जी हाँ, ये प्रभात हैं पटना से, राजीव कौशिक हैं दिल्ली से, अनिल कुमार सक्सेना जुड़े हुए हैं, मेघना गुप्ता, ग्रीन स्पेस कंसल्टेंट, अलेखा खंडाला, मनु, अभय झा, प्रमोद सहल सक्सेना, ग्लेन जॉर्ज, अभय वशिष्ठ, गगन वार्ष्णे, राजेश साकिल, दीप्ति शुक्ला, इंजीनियरिंग फॉर इंजीनियर्स, अमित की आवाज, अनूप चतुर्वेदी, डॉक्टर मीटू सिंह, अनिल कुमार सक्सेना, डॉक्टर भारती गुप्ता, मानवेंद्र सिंह कौरव, उमाशंकर, मनोरमा शुक्ला, प्रमोद सहाय सक्सेना, अनित जैसी, मनोरमा, कुमार दामोदरन, अमित बंद उपाध्याय, दुर्गांश म्यूजिक, सुनील कुमार शर्मा, उमेश कुमार, गुरु गिरीश, सुनील कुमार शर्मा, जानवी सक्सेना, शैलेंद्र द्विवेदी, डॉक्टर विवेक रिचारिया, डॉक्टर शंकर कुमार, डॉक्टर रंजीत, सुनीत वर्मा, डॉक्टर आर चंद्रन पुलेरी, गोविंद नायक एंड मनोरमा शुक्ला। जी हाँ, और दर्शक आपके प्रश्न भी है, हम आपके प्रश्न को भी आपके स्क्रीन पर दिखा देते हैं। और ये प्रश्न है पटना से प्रभात का, ये हमारे तरह कोई भी कार्यक्रम होता है उसमें जरूर आते हैं। इनका प्रश्न है, क्या ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन ऑफलाइन एजुकेशन की पूर्ति कर सकता है? हालांकि इस पर काफी डिस्कशन हो चुके हैं, लेकिन चलिए हम इस पर फिर बात कर लेते हैं। हम डॉक्टर सपना राकेश मैम से जानना चाहेंगे कि ये इस पर।
थैंक यू। मुझे लगता है कि ये क्वेश्चन से सभी लोग डील कर रहे हैं और इसका आंसर ढूंढने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि क्या ऑनलाइन ऑफलाइन को रिप्लेस कर सकता है। ये लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव्स पर डिपेंड करता है। अगर आपकी इंटेंडेड लर्निंग ऑब्जेक्टिव बहुत हाई है, whenever intended learning is very high, online is a good enough medium, as we have seen in billion of courses being taught online and millions of people developing themselves online. लेकिन अगर हम एक कुछ ऐसे स्किल्स हैं, जैसे मान लीजिए आप दौड़ना सीखना चाहते हैं, आप कोचिंग चाहते हैं ऑन हाउ टू रन फास्टर, या आप पब्लिक स्पीकिंग सीखना चाहते हैं, या आप एक क्लासरूम में सेटिंग में केस स्टडी में हाउ टू टेक इनिशिएटिव, व्हाट वर योर लीडरशिप कमेंट्स, इस तरह की फीडबैक्स चाहते हैं, तो पूरा एप्लीकेशन थोड़ा सा मुश्किल है। तो पूर्ति दोनों की, ऑनलाइन की जो विशेषताएं हैं वो ऑफलाइन में नहीं आ सकती, और जो ऑफलाइन की विशेषताएं हैं वो ऑनलाइन में नहीं आ सकती। ऑनलाइन और ऑनलाइन में भी, ऑनलाइन रिकॉर्डेड एंड ऑनलाइन लाइव अपने आप में दो बहुत अलग अलग विधाएं हैं, क्योंकि जब आप ऑनलाइन रिकॉर्डेड करते हैं, आपके पास स्क्रिप्ट होती है, आपके पास कैमरा होता है, आप रिवाइंड कर सकते हैं, आप दोबारा बोल सकते हैं, आपको कितना आता है इस बात पे कोई बहुत ज्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, इफ इट इज रिकॉर्डेड, बिकॉज यू हैव कंटेंट, यू हैव थिंग्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ यू। लेकिन जब आप ऑनलाइन लाइव करते हैं तो आप बेसिकली एक फिजिकल क्लास रिप्लेस कर रहे हैं और आप पूर्ति करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं एक ऑफलाइन क्लास की। मुझे लगता है स्टूडेंट के एंड में अगर इंटेंडेड लर्निंग बहुत हाई है, ड्राइव बहुत हाई है, जो एक शिक्षण पूरा सिस्टम है वो अगर क्रिएट हो जाए, तो बहुत टू अ ग्रेट एक्सटेंट ऑनलाइन कैन फुलफिल द रिक्वायरमेंट ऑफ ऑफलाइन। हाउएवर आपको देखने की हमेशा इच्छा रहेगी, शिक्षक के साथ संबंध बनाने की हमेशा इच्छा रहेगी, क्लास में सुंदर लड़कियां देखना, सुंदर लड़के देखना, एक दूसरे की तारीफ करना, मुस्कुराना, जोक्स, मुझे नहीं लगता ये चीजें ऑनलाइन वर्ल्ड में कभी भी रेप्लिकेट हो पाएंगी। तो टू अ ग्रेट एक्सटेंट यस, फुल्ली नो।
जी 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 हाँ, चलिए दूसरा प्रश्न लेते हैं। ये दिल्ली से है, बना हुआ है राजीव कौशिक जी का, स्क्रीन पर भी दिखा रहे हैं। इनका कहना है कि क्या देश के विश्वविद्यालय इसके लिए तैयार हैं कि ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन को बढ़ाया जाए और ऑफलाइन को थोड़ा कम किया जाए? जी हम ये चाहेंगे डॉक्टर रेखा मैम।
Well, with respect to the online education, when it comes to the creative field, I think the country is still not prepared. And that is precisely because there is a lot of things that we cannot teach creative things on the online mode. It has to be offline and it is to be face-to-face. That is one of the reasons, as I was telling in my talk, we developed a three-tiered proctoral system to have a direct connect to one-on-one with the student. And that is how we tried to do it, which was that is now AICT actually has funded us for developing that system. So with the result, what I'm saying is like that particular thing in creative fields, it is not still matured enough. But yes, in various theory subjects and in engineering and all that, yeah, there is certainly a way ahead which has been done, but that is still not sufficient because large number of remote corners in the country still are not reachable. Students in say hilly areas or they are really cut off from all this.
जी 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 डॉक्टर राकेश रंजन सर से भी हम इस प्रश्न का जवाब चाहेंगे कि क्या यूनिवर्सिटी तैयार है, क्योंकि आप बीसी हैं हिमगिरी यूनिवर्सिटी के।
देखिए, यूनिवर्सिटी आज के तारीख में तो हमें ब्लेंडेड मोड में ही जाना है। मैंने जो अपने प्रेजेंटेशन में बताया कि द फ्यूचर इज ऑनलाइन, बट एट प्रेजेंट वी आर इवॉल्विंग एंड द सिस्टम्स आर आल्सो इवॉल्विंग. Students are also getting used to it. The teachers are also feeling comfortable with online, but there are a lot to be done. Like we don't deny there is a problem of infrastructure, there is a problem of bandwidth and the space as well. So those has to be mapped in, and that will happen over the years. But at present, if you ask me in 2 years timeline, it is a blended mode that is going to be the option. And I think most of the academic people we have in front, they would go by me, because UGC has recently sent a letter to all the university that we can go up to 40% of the credit in online mode. There is an official notification. So when it is a 40%, at least 50%, nearly 50% of the classes will happen in online mode. Therefore, we are moving towards online, but at present it is a blended mode. That is the only things which is possible, at least in 2 years down the line.
जी, चलिए इसी से रिलेटेड आपने जो कहा उसी से रिलेटेड देखिए प्रश्न भी आया हुआ है और ये हैं लिखने वाले रुद्रांश म्यूजिक। उन्होंने लिखा है, इज देयर एनी एडवाइजरी ऑन ऑनलाइन एजुकेशन फ्रॉम द कॉम्पिटेंट गवर्नमेंट अथॉरिटीज? जी सर, आप ही इसका जवाब दे दीजिए राकेश सर।
हाँ, देखिए ऑनलाइन 100% ऑनलाइन क्लासेस के लिए, ऑनलाइन सर्टिफिकेशन के लिए ऑलरेडी यूजीसी के अंतर्गत बॉडी है जो कि आपकी अप्रूवल करती है। उसके लिए देयर आर सर्टेन रिक्वायरमेंट दैट द इंस्टीट्यूशन हैज टू बी NAAC एक्रेडिटेड। उसके बाद आपको अप्लाई करना पड़ता है टू ऑफर 100% ऑनलाइन क्लासेस। But there is another aspect of it, that under the new education policy, all the institutions mandatorily has to take the NAAC accreditation. So all the institutions in time to come will be eligible if they meet the expectation of the accrediting authority to apply for the online. At present, you have to take the approval from UGC body for offering online examination.
चलिए देखिए, एक प्रश्न आया हुआ है और ये लिखने वाले हैं डॉक्टर अमित बोध उपाध्याय। इन्होंने लिखा है कि नेटवर्क इज अ बिग प्रॉब्लम स्पेशली इन रिमोट एरियाज, वी हैव टू इम्प्रूव इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर्स एज सुन एज पॉसिबल। जी हाँ, बिल्कुल। चलिए इस प्रश्नों का भी आपका भी जवाब दे लेते हैं डॉक्टर सुनील मौदगिल सर से। जी सर। सर आपका माइक बंद है आपका माइक।
Yeah, sorry. When we look at things from the perspective of date, yes, it is a problem because too many people suddenly has gone online, which was unexpected. And I'm sure in due course of time, this small thing will also be taken care. And far-flung areas, it will also be taken care. More satellites will come into the system. There may be zonal satellites. There'll be satellite different for education, different for other aspects in the world. Maybe for industry, there'll be different kind of. Once we started moving towards online, the technology will automatically move in that direction. Technology will assist people to be comfortable in the coming up zone. Why? Because I remember when we were maybe 10-15 years back, we used to say we must have an air conditioner to start our computers, and when the AC used to be off, we never used to touch the computers. They may go bad. Today I take my laptop, and we take laptop anywhere in the world, sit on the roadside and use that. So technology will take care. This internet issue is not going to be staying for a long time. That is what I feel. I feel it's very quickly is going to be resolved. Maybe not more than a year's time, you'll find the speeds and the bandwidth and the internet availability all over the country. At every nook and corner, you'll be able to have a good connectivity. That's what my take on this.
चलिए एक और प्रश्न आया हुआ है, प्रश्न को भी ले लेते हैं। इनका कहना है कि टीचर्स फॉर्मेलिटी केवल रुद्रांश म्यूजिक है, टीचर्स आर डूइंग फॉर्मेलिटीज ओनली, दे आर लिस्ट अकाउंटेबल आई थिंक। क्या कहेंगे मैम, डॉक्टर सपना राकेश मैम?
मुझे लगता है ये बहुत अनफेयर एट्रीब्यूशन है रुद्रांश। शायद आपके एक्सपीरियंसेस खराब रहे होंगे, पर टीचर एक बहुत बड़ी कम्युनिटी है इस देश में। टीचर कोई एक व्यक्ति नहीं है, एक बहुत बड़ी कम्युनिटी है। उसमें सारे विश्वविद्यालय जुड़े हैं, कॉलेजेस जुड़े हैं, स्कूल्स जुड़े हैं, और आपके अपने पेरेंट्स भी जुड़े हुए हैं, क्योंकि टीचिंग में समझती हूँ एक बहुत कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस भी जुड़े हुए हैं। सभी के एक्सपीरियंसेस वेरिएबल होंगे, बट इस तरह का सोचना जो आप कह रहे हैं, ये मुझे लगता है बहुत स्वाभाविक है। क्योंकि अगर आपकी नेट कनेक्टिविटी नहीं आ पा रही है और वहां पर दूसरी तरफ एक शिक्षक को एम्पैथी नहीं है, वो आपसे एम्पैथाइज नहीं कर पा रहा है क्योंकि उसके पास कंटेंट नहीं है, उसके पास सपोर्ट नहीं है, उसके पास वक्त नहीं है, उसके पास रिसोर्सेस नहीं है, तो इस तरह की फीलिंग्स आ सकती हैं। और मुझे लगता है यही सभी के लिए एक सीखने की बात है। पॉलिसी मेकिंग में ये सीखने की बात है, शिक्षण संस्थानों के लिए सीखने की बात है, इंडिविजुअल टीचर्स के लिए सीखने की बात है, एंड टू अ ग्रेट एक्सटेंट छात्रों के लिए और उनके अभिभावकों के लिए भी एक सीखने की बात है कि किस तरीके से लर्निंग को इस दौर में हम मैक्सिमाइज कर सकें। तो जैसे आप कह रहे हैं, इस तरीके से कई बार हम शिक्षकों से भी सुनते हैं कि छात्र लॉगिन करके भाग जाते हैं या छात्रों को इंटरेस्ट नहीं है। तो वो मुझे नहीं लगता है कि इसमें किसी का भी दोष है। मैं शुरू से कह रही हूँ कि एक लर्निंग अपॉर्चुनिटी है। हम सबको अपने अपने एग्जिस्टिंग कंफर्ट जोन को ब्रेक करके नए जोन में आकर इस नई दुनिया का हिस्सा बनकर उसको मोस्ट इफेक्टिव बनाना है। मैं आपसे यही उम्मीद करूंगी, आशा करूंगी कि आप इस पॉजिटिविटी के साथ ये समय निकालें और बहुत पॉजिटिव कंट्रीब्यूशन करें ऑनलाइन स्पेशली कोविड वक्त की जो ऑनलाइन शिक्षा जो स्क्रीन पर आ गई है उसको इफेक्टिव बनाने के लिए।
चलिए देखिए उनका एक और प्रश्न है, दोस्त फेवर ऑफ ऑनलाइन क्लासेस, दे शुड थिंक अबाउट द गुरुकुल सिस्टम विद रेस्ट्रिक्टेड एंट्रीज। जी
different people are everyone is experimenting on how best can we develop our children and our student fraternities, communities, and I think Gurukul can never be discarded. That is the most high touch, intensive system of education, but it will be equally expensive also. So I think all of us, I'm sure we'll all emerge as winners. Let's hope for the best.
जी हाँ, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपको, आप लोगों को हमसे जुड़ने के लिए। लेकिन एक और प्रश्न लगता है इन्होंने कुछ लिखा है, चलिए हम कोशिश कर रहे हैं। इन्होंने लिखा है कि इन ऑफलाइन मोड स्टूडेंट्स लर्न्स इनहांस सॉफ्ट स्किल आल्सो, बॉडी लैंग्वेज etc एज एन एक्सपीरियंस टीचर्स delivers lecture before them. डॉक्टर राकेश रंजन सर, इसका जवाब देना है। सर आपका माइक बंद है, माइक बंद।
सॉरी। जो प्रश्न इन्होंने पूछा है प्रश्न में काफी गूढ़ प्रश्न है। हम अभी भी ये सारे स्किल आज तक सीखते आए हैं जब हम इंटरेक्ट करते हैं क्लासरूम में, बट जैसे कमलेंदु बाली जी और ब्रिगेडियर साहब ने बताया कि ये सारे सॉफ्ट स्किल अब ऑनलाइन मोड में करवा रहे हैं, चाहे डांसिंग करवाना हो, म्यूजिक करवाना हो, क्रिएटिविटी भी करवाना हो, धीरे धीरे हम उस मोड में जा रहे हैं। और स्टूडेंट्स, आप हम सबके घर में बच्चे हैं जो कि टेक सेवी हैं, you will find them that they are having their own space, their own timing on cyberspace, and they are doing everything on cyberspace, and they are much informed than us. To be honest with you, I was talking to my second son who he will be graduating now from NIT Kurukshetra, and he was talking to me about the Indian mythology and talking about Shiva and Vishnu. I was surprised from where he has learned all those things, because we used to go and listen pravachan. We are not taking our children for any pravachan. So what they are doing is they are logging to the net, and they are listening to all those relevant informations. So time will come that since the informations are available in abundance on every aspects on the net, and based on the interest students are picking up those knowledge, I think these restrictions will go and people will be equally skilled, even though in online mode. Tell me one thing, my first son is working in America in Amazon, and last 2 years, 1.5 years, he is working from online mode, sitting at home in Seattle, and he said that this year he will be working there. Most of the IT company, they are doing good business. They are taking the projects, accomplishing since last 2 years, and they are generating revenues also. So where is the downfall? There is no downfall. They have adapted, and we will also adapt to it, and all the skills will be learned in online mode as well.
जी हाँ, बिल्कुल। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपसे आप लोगों का जुड़ने के लिए और इतने अच्छी चर्चा करने के लिए। करीब 2 घंटे का ये हमारा चर्चा रहा और निश्चित तौर पर इसमें कई दर्शक अभी भी जुड़े हुए हैं और लगातार उनके प्रश्न आ रहे हैं, लेकिन हमारे पास समय का बंधन है। सर आपका, डॉक्टर राकेश रंजन सर, आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। डॉक्टर AR रेखा चंद्र मैम, आपका भी बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। सुनील मौदगिल सर, आपका भी बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। ICCI के डीजी कमलेंदु वाली सर, आपने समय निकाला, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आप सबों का इतना बेहतरीन डिस्कशन करने के लिए। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
Thank you,
Thank you
Manvinder
very
ji.
much.
Jai Hind.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
थैंक यू। जी हाँ दोस्तों, तो ये खास हमारा वेबिनार था ऑफलाइन क्लासेस वर्सेस ऑनलाइन क्लासेस। जी हाँ, आप भी अगर आप चाहते हैं, आपके मन में भी कोई प्रश्न है, आप सीधे हमें भेज सकते हैं। हमारा व्हाट्सएप नंबर भी आपकी स्क्रीन पर होता है। आप जिस भी प्लेटफॉर्म से हैं वहां से भी आप भेज सकते हैं। निश्चित तौर पर आपके प्रश्नों का जवाब भी मिलेगा। हमारे साथ कई गणमान्य व्यक्ति जुड़े हुए थे। संदीप पचपांडे थे, चेयरमैन SM ग्रुप ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूशन के। अनुपम चौकसे से प्रो चांसलर LN सिटी यूनिवर्सिटी। डॉक्टर सपना राकेश, डायरेक्टर IMS गाजियाबाद। डॉक्टर राकेश रंजन BC हिमगिरी यूनिवर्सिटी के। ब्रिगेडियर सुनील कुमार मॉडगिल, फाउंडर एंड CEO मॉडगिल लर्निंग एंड डेवलपमेंट सॉल्यूशन। एंड प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर AR चंद्रन रेखा ज्योति, डायरेक्टर एंड फाउंडर प्रिंसिपल नीति स्कूल ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर प्लानिंग एंड डिजाइन बंगलुरु से। और इस खास कार्यक्रम का मॉडरेट कर रहे थे कमलेंदु वाली। आप इंटीग्रेटेड चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स इंडस्ट्री के DG हैं। निश्चित तौर पर दोस्तों आप हमारे साथ जुड़े रहिएगा। और हमने कई वेबिनार किया है, उसकी चर्चा हम पहले कर चुके हैं, लेकिन हम कोशिश करेंगे। आपको पुनः बता दें कि हम आत्मनिर्भर भारत और युवा आत्मनिर्भर भारत इंडस्ट्री एकेडमी इंटरफेस, लीडरशिप एंड इनोवेशन समिट, स्किल एंड इंटरप्रेन्योरशिप समिट, न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, प्रमोटिंग MSMEs थ्रू एजुकेशन, हमने ये सारे वेबिनार्स किए हैं और काफी अच्छी रिस्पांस मिला है। यहाँ लगातार आप हमसे जुड़े रहिएगा। और निश्चित तौर पर इंटीग्रेटेड चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स इंडस्ट्री जल्द ही कोशिश कर रहा है कि ऑफलाइन भी हम प्रोग्राम करें, और नहीं तो फिर पुनः हम एक बड़े कार्यक्रम की ओर बढ़ रहे हैं। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमसे जुड़ने के लिए। नमस्कार।
इस कार्यक्रम के प्रायोजक हैं MS सेल कॉर्पोरेशन। सभी तरह की गारमेंट, मास्क एवं PPE किट एसेसरीज जैसे इलास्टिक, बटन, लेस, कोटा, बेंच कॉर्ड आदि एक्सपोर्ट क्वालिटी के लिए संपर्क करें। MS सेल कॉर्पोरेशन, गोविंदपुरी, नई दिल्ली। फोन नंबर है 9013666652।